Okay, so welcome to class 4, our very, very last day. And today we're actually going to be doing a kind of very different day. We're actually going to be coloring in a map of your school. But before we get to that, really quick, I want to do our final review. I still have candy. So starting with what we talked about in last class, we were talking about boundaries in romantic relationships. Can someone tell me, how can you tell the difference between flirting versus sexual harassment? What's the difference there? How do we know that it's different? Yeah, exactly. So as we talked about when we were doing that activity with all the cards stuck all over the wall, that the main difference between flirting and sexual harassment is the person uncomfortable? Is the person okay with or not okay with whatever's happening? So it's not that the thing itself is harassment or flirting for most things. It's how is it felt by the person? Are they okay? Are they not okay? And that's the main thing that's going to tell us, is it harassment or is it flirting? Perfect. Yeah, you guys really remembered that. Nice job. Okay, how about one more? How about, does anyone remember the crisis text line that we talked about? It should be on that piece of paper if anyone hasn't lost it. What is the 6-digit number that you can text for the crisis text line? And remember, that's free, 24/7, any day, anytime. Did you find the paper? Okay, read it off to me. Yeah, so 741-741. That's the number that you text for the crisis text line if there's someone that you want to talk to for any kind of crisis that you might be going through. Perfect. And those pieces of paper, those are for you to hold on to. We don't need those back. And a reminder, we want you to have those because they have those resources on them. Okay, so they have the crisis text line, they have the local rape crisis center, they have the names of the teachers and people at your school that you can talk to about boundary violations. So that piece of paper is there for you. Nice job, guys.
For the remainder of the class, you'll be doing this activity where you'll be coloring in a map of your school. So you'll be thinking about your school as a whole and the spaces within the school where you all feel safe or unsafe. So this activity will be done online, so you can get out your school laptops and turn them on and open up your internet browser and type in www.hotspotmapky.com. So I've written the web address up on the board in case anyone needs to look at that. All right, so when you get to the website, I want you to just stop before going on to the next section. Also, if Spanish is your preferred language, you can translate the website to Spanish by clicking the language box in the top left of the screen. Okay, so now that everyone has gotten on the home page, I want you to click the Start button under where it says, Are you a student? So when you click on that button, you'll see a short survey pop up. This survey is asking questions about you as a person. And we'll be using this information to get a better picture of who feels safe or unsafe in certain places in your school. So we want to know things like, do 7th graders feel really safe in a particular place? Or do 8th grade girls feel mostly unsafe in a certain place? Your answers to these questions are anonymous and cannot be connected to you, so feel free to answer honestly. If you don't want to answer any of the questions, that's totally fine, and you can click the Prefer Not to Answer option. If you have any questions about, these survey questions, feel free to raise your hand and I can help you. But go ahead and fill out the demographic questions, but do not hit the Submit button yet. You'll also skip the school code question for now, and we'll fill that out all together. Okay, so now that everyone has filled in the demographics questions, I want you to put in the code that I've written on the board where it says school code. So for your school, it's going to be SMPL. Once you've done that, you can click the Submit button at the bottom of the page, and when you get to the next page with your school's map on it, wait before starting the activity because I have some more instructions for you. All right, so now you're going to be coloring in the map of your school. So you'll see at the top there are red, green, yellow, and gray colors that you can select, and each of those colors represent different things. So the green should be used to color rooms and areas where you definitely feel safe in your school. The red should be used to color rooms where you definitely feel unsafe or uncomfortable. The yellow should be used for rooms and areas where you maybe sometimes feel safe and sometimes feel unsafe, or you kind of feel in between. And then you can use the gray color to identify rooms that you never go in, like, the staff room, closets, bathrooms of the other gender, places like that where you never need to go. Now, to be clear, when I'm talking about whether you feel safe and comfortable in a space or unsafe or uncomfortable, I mean safety within relationships between you and other people. So, we've been talking for the last 3 classes a lot about boundaries and your boundaries with other people. So we're asking you about safety and comfort level and related to your boundaries with other people. So I don't mean physical safety, in terms of like equipment that makes you feel unsafe. So if there's like the woodworking shop and there's a lot of sharp materials, that sort of safety, we're not talking about that. Or things like places with a lot of windows, if you have concerns maybe about an active shooter situation and that creating an unsafe environment. It's not that type of safety we're talking about. We're talking about your safety in relation to other people. So, to color in a room, a specific color, what you'll do is click on the color box that you want to select. And you want to make sure you see that check mark fill in the box. Then you'll click on the room that you want to be that color and it will turn that color. So let's say I wanted to turn the art room green. I'd click on the green box and then click on the art room and it turns green. When you hover over the rooms on the map, you can see their names pop up, which will help you kind of orient yourself and figure out which room you're looking at on the map. Remember, each classroom, staircase, elevator, all of the spaces on your school should have either a red, yellow, green, or gray color. You'll not be able to move on to the next floor or submit your map unless you've colored in all of the rooms. If you change your mind about a color, that's totally fine. You can select a different color and then click on that room to change its color. Also, if you're, on the second floor and you're like, oh man, I really want to change the color of a room on the first floor, you can do that. You just click the previous floor button to go back to the other floor, and then you would click the room to change it. All right, so please raise your hand to let me know if you have any questions or issues during the activity. Just a reminder that this is a private activity and I want you all to feel really free to share your real thoughts on how safe or unsafe you feel in the school. So please just don't look over at someone else's map or make comments that might make someone else feel uncomfortable, because we want this to be an activity that you all feel really, really comfortable about doing. All right, so no questions now. Go ahead and get started coloring your map and then we'll come back together to discuss them when everyone's done.
Okay, so thank you everyone for taking the time to color in those maps. Again, that is super, super helpful to us. And, we really do care what you guys have to think. And more than just what I care, what I want you to know is your school really cares. Your school invited us in to do this program in part because they know we are doing this mapping process and they want to know what the results say. So a couple things on that. Again, your name is not on this map. That's for a reason. The people at your school, they're not going to be seeing these maps individually. What they are going to be seeing is the total information. So I'm going to be taking all of these maps from your class and next class and next class and next class and the ones from all the different grades. I'm going to be putting all of those maps together in a huge gigantic pile where you can't even tell whose is whose, even based on handwriting, because there's so many of them. And then we're going to go through and we're going to start counting how many times do people mark red or green or yellow in certain areas, okay? And we're going to start to notice trends, hopefully, where, gosh, this room is really, really green and it was mostly 7th graders who picked green for this area. Or this area has lots of kind of red and yellow, and what's going on with the 8th grade girls where they feel like kind of uncomfortable in these spaces. So that's, that reminder of that's why we asked that page at the beginning, that kind of survey page asking information about you, is because we want to be able to tell your school not just this color is happening in this area, but getting a little bit into maybe why or what kinds of people colored that color in that area, because that's really going to be the most helpful way that we can try to make your school safer. So that is absolutely our goal here. That's why we have you do this activity, because we care, because your school and your teachers really care about the results. And we're hopefully going to be making actual changes to the school based on what you guys said. So I very much appreciate you guys taking the time to do this and being honest about it. So with our last couple minutes, before I have some questions, do you guys have any more questions about this process or the mapping or anything like that? No? Okay, cool. Well, so I have a few questions for you. I'm just curious, and I'm actually fortunate enough that your teacher said that they would step out of the room for these last couple questions, because I really do want to care about what you guys have to say. And I realize that sometimes it's a little hard for you guys to be fully honest when there is a teacher in the room. So with them leaving the room, a couple questions for you. So I realize obviously we haven't gone through the maps yet. You guys literally just finished coloring them. But if we go through the maps and say 4 or 5 months from now, I notice that there is one area that's really red, or I start to notice these trends, are there things that you guys think as students that the school should be doing to make the school safer? So are there things that the school is not currently doing but you think should be doing to make the school safer? Okay, cool. I'm going to write these down if that's okay with you guys. Okay, cool. Thank you for that. So again, I haven't looked at the maps yet. Are there areas that maybe a lot of you would not be surprised if they turn out really red and yellow? Okay. Any thoughts on maybe why, like what's going on with that? Yeah, I hear that. Okay. Thank you for that. Okay, maybe on the flip side, what about green areas? Are there areas that most of you would expect to be green? Okay, so maybe the library, the therapist's office. I'm really glad to hear that. That's a really important room to hopefully be green. I'm glad to hear that. Okay, cool. Okay, a final question for you. So I already kind of asked, are there things that the school should be doing? Are there things that the school is currently doing that maybe you feel like isn't working very well, but maybe the adults just haven't asked you guys for your opinion yet? Is there anything like that where the school has the system in place, but you guys feel like it's not working at all? Okay. Yeah, so cameras. Yeah, I've heard that in another school that there's cameras everywhere, and yet you could tell that the light's not on, so you know that it's not even on, and that just seems kind of silly. Okay, I hear that. Awesome. Well, thank you guys. I very, very much appreciate what you have to say, because again, it really is important to me. It is important to the school. And I wrote down your answers. I did not write down any of your names with your answers. So that's it for me. Since it's the last class, I hopefully will see you guys again next year. Reminder, please wipe your name off your name card. Collect everything in front of you. If you have your colored pencils and they got really dull while you were coloring, if you could sharpen them for me quickly, because the next class is coming in, so that way I don't have to run around and sharpen 20 pencils. That would help me a lot. So anything that you can do in front of you to just kind of tidy up your space before you leave. So thank you everyone so much. I really, really do appreciate you, and I had a really great time being here this year.